Ladies and gentlemen, Halloween is creeping up on all fours just like our latest cryptid contenders. In this corner, the canid co-ed, Werewolf. And in the opposing corner, the adorable yet deplorable Boy Meets World. Stock up on silver for Put Up Your Spooks.
This is We Bleed Orange and Black, the podcast for Halloween and horror lovers. Join us as we interview creators, discuss our favorite horror, and share original spooky stories. I'm Jeff, repping the 80s.
I'm Ryan, repping the 90s. This week's theme...
Wolfoween.
Wolfoween, oh yeah, well, that takes care of that problem.
Oh, wait. I meant Halloween.
For my first trek upon the Hallow Trail, I present to you Boy Meets World, Who's Afraid of Cory Wolf.
When this boy meets world.
We're stepping out again.
I love stepping out. You were a viewer of Boy Meets World.
I sure was. I've watched the entire series multiple times.
I've never seen a frame of it. How come you never thought to bring us Who's Afraid of Cory Wolf?
Because it's not a horror show.
And yet, this was a pretty scary episode.
Well, okay, so I don't know. Do you guys know? You guys know. Cory is like he's the middle child. He's got an older brother and a younger sister, and it's about all his travails with his pals in middle school, and on into high school, and on into college. This show lasted a long time.
I thought it was a breath of fresh air, and I can assume they're all like this, where he's turning into some kind of monster.
Oh, yeah. I definitely, I was trying to think of another puberty analog, but there's no mucus monster, so never mind about that. Well, it's Halloween night, and Cory is writing his terrific tale in his little diary with a quill pen that he's made out of his mother's feather duster, so expect some jokes along those lines.
Cory, what did you do to my duster? Ow!
Cory is afraid he is becoming a werewolf. His best friend Sean, who's like the bad boy, cool kid, arrives dressed as Cory for the big Halloween party, and it's uncanny resemblance.
Would you say he's the Styles?
I wouldn't say he's the Styles because everyone else thought Styles was a dork, except for Styles and possibly Scott. But everyone actually thinks Sean is cool. Cory does not want to go to the party because it is not safe. He tells Sean all the wolfy details from today and the day previous. Flashes back, he's out taking out the garbage, and Mr. Feeney, who's their teacher for literally their entire school career, all the way through college, tells Cory a wolf escaped from the local zoo and is running around town. Mr. Feeney leaves, something rustles in the bushes nearby, and bites Cory, but when present-day Cory shows Sean the bite mark, it's completely healed. In the morning, Halloween morning, Cory comes out of the bathroom.
I've got hair! Huge amounts!
Yeah, you're right. Where?
Eric in season 2 here is still basically a normal human. Later in the series, he'll become like a whacked-out, crazy, sitcom stupid berserker. he becomes like 12,000 times funnier, but he becomes something less than human. To the point where in the sequel series, he was like a hermit living in the mountains and had to be recalled to the family to like help take care of their kids or whatever. I forget. But he goes along with it.
Congratulations, you're going through puberty. At least that's one explanation. I don't want to alarm you or anything, but I think you might be turning into a werewolf.
And he shows Cory this elaborate tabloid story about a camper who was bitten, turned into a werewolf, and is being held in a secret chamber in the Pentagon. Note, Cory's parents tell him not to be superstitious. Werewolves are just a myth, while being very gullible about a story they read about some jewelry being hidden in soda cans, which is the whole B story. Cory is telling Shawn that he's getting strange new urges, and he's thinking a lot about Baywatch. Cory goes to get some yogurt at the yogurt store because of the strange new urges, and, it's a funny little tete-a-tete between him and the yogurt man, talking about Bloody Guts ice cream. He finds out that the guy's mom is a fortune teller, so he pays him $5, and he goes to see Madame Ospinskaya, played by Phyllis Diller in inimitable fashion. Thinks he's Billy Joel at first, which is funny little joke. But then she's like, oh, no, then I guess you're a werewolf. She tells him he will develop strange appetites, a pentagram will appear in his hand, and he will kill the girl who cares for him. He says, well, that'll never happen because no girl cares for me. And then I think this is the part that made me laugh out loud. She goes,
go ahead, doubt someone who is licensed by the state.
Phyllis Diller was just crushing this whole scene.
Pretty much, yeah.
Naturally.
Cory goes to class. I guess it must be earlier in the day still. He's late for class because of his meeting with Madame Ospinskaya. And Shawn's like, where were you? And he tries to tell him, but he can't hear, so he says, I'll write you a note. The teacher is like, what are you writing? And Cory eats the paper. And then Madame Ospinskaya's voiceover about strange new appetites flashes through his brain. She spits it out. The teacher holds Cory after class for being late. And he's like, hey, I've been there. I was in puberty too, because I'm a boy and everything, and changes. And then he's like, can I get my keys back? And Cory's like, what is this? And the teacher's keychain is the Pentagon. And he's like, oh yeah, I went to the Pentagon this summer, DC. Pentagon's great. I love it. Go team. Go USA. Second mention of the Pentagon in this episode. And I'm like, whoa, what the hell is going on here?
The sign of the pentagram will appear in your hand.
The Pentagon or the pentagram?
Same difference.
Out in the hallway, he runs into Topanga, who is... In season 1, she was like a totally freaky hippie who was like channeling spirits and stuff. She was the girl that they would just make fun of relentlessly. And then in season 2, she's still kind of a hippie, but like he kind of likes her now. I'd forgotten how fast that happens. And then later she just becomes totally normal. I forget what he says, but she's like, well, it's not like I don't care for you. And he's like, oh no. So he runs away. Back in the present, Cory is still talking to Shawn. Big brother Eric brings Cory's dinner in a dog dish. And then Cory gets on all fours and starts eating it. And I think that was probably another genuine chuckle. And the audience really lapped that one up. No pun intended.
I loved how Cory was doing a wolf howl to like punctuate all of his sentences, and people were just rolling with it. It was fantastic.
Okay, so then he's telling the story again about how after school he went back to Madame Ospinskaya, and she's like, you won't kill her until the moon is full at exactly 9 p.m. He's like, what can I do? And she's like, well, you can get shot through the heart with a silver bullet. Back at home, he's talking to his dad, and his dad is like, I went through changes too. I'm a boy, puberty. And he's like, take this silver frame and throw it at my heart as hard as you can. And the dad sits him down and gives him a heart-to-heart about growing up and becoming a man, and he's like, maybe it's time you shaved. So he goes up to get a razor. Cory looks at himself in the mirror and transforms into a wolf and freaks out and runs away. Cory finishes writing in his journal while Shawn is ransacking his room because as a wolf, Cory won't need any of his cool stuff anymore. And Topanga arrives at precisely 2 minutes to 9 to take them all to the party. Shawn leaves them alone in the room and closes the door. It was a more innocent time. Cory gives her the journal and is like, remember me how I was, but it's too late. The clock strikes 9. Miraculously, he does not turn into a werewolf. And he's like, I'm not a wolf. And then he kisses her full on the lips. And she says,
Yes, you are.
He's got that dog in him.
Well, there's a joke earlier where Shawn is like,
Gonna make your move, huh?
If I do, it'll be on all fours.
and I was like, whoa, I don't know if they got what joke they were making there.
Yeah, that was a nice entendre. Throughout the episode, Cory, they're like, oh, you forgot your lunch. He's like, I'll just kill something on the way. Like, he was really talking a big game about killing and murdering and wolfing out. At one point, he sent his mother to the grocery store to get him a gun.
To get him a gun, silver bullets, wolf's bane.
So pretty risque stuff.
When they return from the grocery store, they buy Morgan, the little sister, a giant tub of gummy worms, even though it's Halloween night and she's going trick-or-treating. What were they thinking?
She likes what she likes.
Everyone's safe and sound. The danger is done. And outside in the backyard, Mr. Feeney informs Cory that the wolf was actually in the zoo the whole time. But Cory hears the rustling in the bushes again, but it turns out it's a cute, cuddly rabbit. The rabbit growls at him like a wolf, and he runs away into the house. The end.
Do you think he's gonna get some kind of rabbit disease?
Like rabies, perhaps?
Like rabies. I really liked it. I thought it was really tightly written, really funny.
Yeah, it's a cute little episode.
Yeah, cute show.
However, wildly disappointed in the Halloweenergy of the decorations. There were hardly any decorations in the house. There were hardly any decorations in the classroom.
I think we've been a bit spoiled because there were Halloween decorations in the house and the classroom and even the ice cream shop.
There were a scant few. There was like one paper pumpkin in the classroom.
There's some good Halloween-y vibes.
Not enough. It was a very good dark and stormy episode, though. I'll say that much.
Frank!
What?
A cigarette!
So I'm bringing a new show, long overdue, to We Bleed Orange and Black. This is Werewolf, the TV series that ran from 1987 to 1988. This is a show about Eric Cord, who wanders from town to town, like Bruce Banner, seeking Skorzeny, the werewolf who bit him.
It was giving me huge Hulk vibes.
Yep. This is Season 1, Episode 14, All Hallows Eve, which aired October 31st, 1987.
It aired on the 31st?
That's not possible, sir.
I beg to differ.
It's Halloween Day, and the hardware store is hopping. There are masks, costume, candy, and toys in every aisle, as well as a gaggle of unruly kids. Our hero, Eric, is working as a stock boy. Stock girl Nancy, who was in Wes Craven's Shocker and Meet the Applegates, invites Eric to a Halloween party. He considers it until he sees the pentagram rising from his palm.
The pentagon or the pentagram?
Same difference.
This is the sign that the change is upon him. So he tells her he'd better stay in tonight. A gang of teenage hooligans in black trench coats, led by Sean Kanan in his first role.
Karate's bad boy, Mike Barnes.
Before he was Mike Barnes, the bad boy of karate.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Mike Barnes and his hooligan friends come in and they tell Nancy to give them cheap candy. She refuses, so they steal it and run out. Real bad boy energy.
There's a part just before that where the owner of the store is like,
Would you do me a price check on the 24-ounce candy corn?
and I was like, oh, Jeff is salivating.
It was fantastic. You should really treat yourself and check out this episode because back in the day, the hardware store was often the mecca of where you would get all of your Halloween stuff.
That's where Michael Myers got his mask.
Prime example. After work, Eric uses his employee discount on some chains and a lock. He tells his boss that his friend, in quotes, Skorzeny, isn't in town, so he's moving on. He heads to an abandoned house with some fried chicken to lock himself up for the night. Nancy stops by and knocks on the door, so Eric hides until she leaves. And when he goes out, he sees that she's left behind a bag full of Hershey's Kisses.
Don't put it out with your boots, Tad.
Don't tell me my business, devil woman.
He investigates this spooky, creaky, cobweb-choked house and finds a portrait of the original owner, Gavin Trefoil, with its face ripped out.
Who could ever learn to love a beast?
A rippin' 80s song wails.
Yo, yeah. I was like, whoa, music video?
Yeah, every episode of Werewolf has music video vibes. It's fantastic. He investigates a noise upstairs and finds a black cat. Little does he know that a mysterious figure is prowling in the background of every shot, shadowing him throughout the house. When Eric gets back downstairs, he finds that the fried chicken is skeletonized. Equally bad, his pentagram is now bleeding. It is time to chain himself up. A thunderstorm looms in the distance. Outside, the rambunctious kids from the store hide in a bush. They're dressed up in classic costumes. Frankenstein, Sherlock Holmes, and gypsy/pirate queen?
Mom? Oh, right, she had an eye patch.
Sherlock Kid insists that anyone brave enough to knock on the door will get a reward from the hermit. They bang on the door just as Eric is about to lock his chains. Thinking quickly, he pulls a white sheet over himself, opens the door, and rattles his chains. The kids run off screaming. Before Eric can take off the sheet, the mysterious figure bum rushes him, carries him upstairs, and chains him to a different chair.
Yeah, a different rickety chair that looks like it could fall apart in 5 seconds if you breathed on it.
It's a huge man with a burlap mask over his head and a shotgun. He's not happy that Eric is in his house, or that he scared away the trick-or-treaters. Eric's wolfometer is in the red, so he tries to wring as much backstory and human connection out of this guy as fast as he can. It's Gavin Trefoil. He was burned in a chemical plant explosion. He ran away to spare his wife and daughter, who is Stockgirl Nancy, by the way, the sight of his disfigured face. Eric says, "Sucks to be you. Now leave me the fuck alone, or you're going to be grateful you have any human skin." They're interrupted by bad boy of karate Mike Barnes and his crew, who have come to the abandoned house with a boombox to party.
Hey, you guys, let's get sinister!
Nancy is pissed that they're trespassing, but Mike Barnes does what he wants, and what he wants is to pay for college.
You know, we can practically pay for college. This place is loaded with antiques.
A victimless crime because everyone thinks it's an abandoned house. Nancy finds Eric and unchains him just as he starts wolfing out, but she's too distracted to notice. Mike Barnes finds Trevor hiding in a closet and drags him out. Nancy says, "Stop, that's my dad." But Mike is there to get sinister, so he tries to pull the burlap sack off of Trevor's head. Much like the Incredible Hulk show, there's no problem that can't be solved by the hero transforming into a giant monster. Eric blasts through the door in full wolf mode and sends the teens scrambling from the house in terror.
Let's go! Come on!
The trick-or-treating kids from earlier watch it go down from the bushes and decide to call it a night.
Wow, great costume!
The next morning, Eric helps take the boards off the windows. Gavin removes his hood for his daughter, and she hugs him. The end.
Now what gets into people? Forget it. It's Halloween.
So Ryan, have you ever seen an episode of Werewolf?
I'll do you one better. Not only have I never seen it, I've never heard of it.
Really? Because I feel like I have mentioned this show
Not that I recall.
many, many times. This
It's entirely possible.
Me and friend of the show, Ed, are often reminiscing about this show because it was like the craziest TV show on in the 80s, or one of them, and you never knew when it was on. You would just catch random glimpses of it, and that made it so much more magical.
So many of my favorite shows were like that. You catch 2 episodes of this magical show, and then you never see it again, and then you wonder if it was even real or if you dreamed it.
This was that show for a lot of people because for the longest time, no one could find it, and they were going to do like a special release of DVDs with extras and all sorts of stuff, but they couldn't get certain music rights, and so the entire product was just shelved.
Just like Pete and Pete Season 3. Ugh. The last thing I'll say about Werewolf is that I found it odd that the entire Act 2 was some sack man explaining his backstory. I was like, what is this? Why are we doing this? Why isn't something cool happening?
This episode hit the ground running, and I was grinning ear to ear, and I was like, finally, we got Werewolf on the show, and it's a All Hallows Eve episode. Let's fucking go. And then it just flops
Hit
in
the
middle.
brakes.
It slows down so much.
At least they had real good Halloween energy at the hardware store with the decorations and all.
And then eventually Mike Barnes, the bad boy of karate, shows up the boombox to get sinister, and you're like, hell yeah, okay, this is what I'm talking about.
And the werewolf, in very small doses, was cool. Like, when the werewolf first exploded out of the door, I was like, yeah! And then you get a kind of a good look at it, and you're like, yeah.
That was a really bad angle. What this show is famous for is werewolf effects by Rick Baker.
Oh.
And it is one of those, like, 7-foot tall, towering werewolf monsters.
And it's a werewolf, not a wolf man, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, so there's episodes where these giant hulking werewolves like battle and are like destroying stuff, and it looks super cool when you see the full costume at full height. This was weird. He was kind of like crouching in a doorway. It looked really bad.
Forget it. It's Halloween.
Let's get into ratings. Body count for both episodes, 0.
0, wowee.
Scare factor for Boy Meets World.
0.
Scare factor for my episode.
0.
Gross factor for Boy Meets World.
0.
Gross factor for my episode. Burnt up face.
His eye was like a little bit gross. You could see his eye, so.
All right, I'm going to give that...
no points. 1 point.
1 point. What the factor from my episode? It was kind of jarring in that second act.
I agree. Yeah.
Where it was just Eric chained to a chair.
Hello.
And he's like... Hey, dude.
He was like, you gotta get out of here. And the guy's like, do you know what phosphorus burns do to your face? And he was like, I don't really care right now.
But also, he's like, this is no way to live, buddy. You gotta go out and face the world and reunite with their family.
Come on, man. Life's for living.
So I'm taking points for that one. What the factor for Boy Meets World?
0.
All right. Totally 80s for Werewolf. You got ripping guitar solos. You got the boombox.
I'll give it to you on this guitar solo. Like, I really thought he was going to start wandering through the house and, like, curtains were going to start billowing around him and stuff.
It basically...
As the music played, yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, unicorns were going to run through in the background.
No, instead it was Trefoil running around in the background. How about Hell at 90s?
0.
Theme of Halloween.
I would say it's a tie, but yours had more decorations.
But Cory was howling multiple times in every scene. I'm going to give that to Boy Meets World. On 80s vibes alone, I'm going to give this one to Werewolf, but it was a delight to watch both of these episodes. There was a very specific costume in the hardware store. Did you see it?
Beyond the werewolf head that he, like, purchased?
Longtime listeners will know that we've been fascinated with Kooky Spooks, which was a brand of Halloween costumes back in the day. This one was a spooky spook, and I had to freeze frame it. I had to look it up. It wasn't a Ben Cooper costume. It was a Collegeville costume, which was the alternate brand to Ben Cooper. So it was a werewolf mask with a jumpsuit with a picture of a werewolf on the front and the word werewolf. But when I was looking this up, I found that at that time, there was also a special line of scratch and sniff Halloween costumes. And it was mind expanding.
Trick or treat, scratch my feet.
Smell something good to eat. So these were the 1987 scratch and sniff costumes. There was Hershey's Kiss, Pumpkin, Mr. Orange, Raspberry, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, and Little Stinker. So it's all food and skunk. Brilliant. You know, you get the tricks, you get the treats.
You know, that scratch and sniff stuff always kind of just smelled like poison, really.
I love them. How dare you? That's my childhood you're talking about. Guess how much a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup scratch and sniff costume costs now?
$5.
$1,000.
Wow, and I bet it really smells like poison now. Or nothing, I suppose. Or the funk of 40,000 years.
My question for you, Ryan, is if you could relaunch this line of scratch and sniff Halloween costumes, what costumes would you choose and what smells would you pitch?
Sweaty trick-or-treater.
Yeah, sure.
A.
There'd probably be like a co-branded Axe body spray.
But we're not speculating on what would be. We're speculating on what we would want.
Right. Part of me just thinks about the marketability. I bet you could have some kind of like weed costume that smells like weed.
That's just the skunk. That's just the stinker.
Yeah, it's a little stinker skunk. You know that Taco Bell would be all over this.
Trick or treat, smell my meat. You'd probably have some nostalgia-based ones, so there'd be like shag carpet and
bong water.
I don't know what that smells like.
Strawberry shortcake. I mean, that's a slam dunk right there.
Those toys were scratch and, well, sniff and sniff.
Exactly.
Vinyl record. Oh, you could do a scratch and sniff costume of Ben Cooper scent.
The latex off-gassing right into your brain. I mean, that's the one I would choose, certainly.
Fog juice.
Oh, fog juice. So what would that be? Would that be like a specter?
Smoke monster,
like fog juice? A smoke monster?
Or tornado.
Maybe like an EMT and the scratch and sniff profile is burnt toast. What is a delight? See, there are smells that I would enjoy but they don't strike me as particularly Halloween-y. And even if you had like the smell of decaying leaves, you're also kind of surrounded by that smell, ideally on Halloween.
I don't know, like peppermint, whatever, but like
Peppermint patty.
The larger issue is that these days it's awfully problematic to scratch a child who's not yours. Back in the 80s, it was no big deal. You could go around scratching
kind
kids.
Of thinking of adults, but you're right. I guess that adds a layer of difficulty, is that you're going to be scratching and sniffing strange kids.
Right, adult costumes. I was wondering why you were going with bong water and weed. These fucking millennial parents, man.
Rerun for your life!